The first screams came from the sky. Cold streaks of blue fire tore through the clouds above the colony world of New Carthage, burning trails across the dawn like dying stars. Moments later, the bombardment began. For the Tarshek Dominion, an empire of scaled giants who'd conquered 100 species and extinguished twice as many, the destruction of a single human settlement wasn't war. It was pest control. Their battlecruisers hung high above the stratosphere, indifferent and methodical. Plasma lances carved through orbital defense satellites like knives through parchment. Down below, the planet's cities burned. The colony's comm towers screamed for aid, their signals clawing through the void. But the nearest Earth fleet was weeks away. The Tarshek commander, Vorak-Ka, watched through the bridge viewport as the human habitats ruptured one by one. His jaws clicked in amusement. "They build like they matter," he said, voice low and gravelly. "Such fragile beings, such hopeful architecture." The bridge crew laughed. A human settlement, 5 million souls, mostly civilians, vanished beneath molten glass. The air was heavy with ionized ash. The soil turned to mirror. When it was done, Vorak-Ka ordered the fleet to broadcast a message towards Sol. "This is mercy. Stay in your cradle, humans. You are not yet evolved for the stars." Then the Tarshek turned away, leaving only silence and a drifting graveyard of burning dust. The empire that laughed. The destruction of New Carthage was celebrated across the Tarshek Dominion. In the grand halls of Charthon Prime, the noble castes feasted on the news. They raised goblets of fermented ichor, toasting the efficiency of Commander Vorak-Ka. The holoscreens replayed the bombardment like a victory parade, narrated by proud voices declaring the civilization of the savage ape. In their arrogance, the Tarshek believed humanity was finished. After all, what could Earth do? A single colony, far from the core worlds, was nothing compared to the might of an empire that spanned half the spiral arm. Humans were recent upstarts, barely a century into the stars. Their fleets were small, their worlds scattered, their diplomacy polite. To the Tarshek, they were soft, too idealistic, too human. "They'll mourn, then send words," laughed one Tarshek senator. "They'll hold a memorial, maybe write a treaty," another mocked. "They do not understand strength," said Vorak-Ka, basking in his fame. "They'll beg us to forgive them for dying too slowly." And so the Dominion went on. Smug, complacent and blind, they did not notice that all human traffic in nearby sectors went dark. They did not notice that trade convoys to the rim ceased transmitting. They did not notice that their own long-range patrols were vanishing one by one, without a trace. By the time the silence began to spread, the humans were already preparing their answer. The quiet. Before the storm, for 3 standard months, Earth said nothing. The Terran Confederation sent no threats, no ambassadors, no ultimatums. The Galactic Council begged for a statement. Silence. The colonies beyond the Sol frontier sealed their jump gates. The humans withdrew, regrouped, vanished behind a curtain of encrypted comms, and that terrified the few who truly knew humanity. The old races, the Kasiri and the Drathan, whispered warnings to the Dominion. They remembered what happened when humans were provoked. "Do not mistake their calm for fear," said one Kasiri elder. "They breathe deep before the storm. But arrogance is louder than wisdom." Vorak-Ka was promoted, honored as Breaker of Apes. The Dominion expanded its fleets toward the human frontier, hoping to force their surrender. That's when they heard it, a single transmission, short and cold, cutting through the interstellar static. A Terran voice, emotionless and final. Message received. Response in progress. Then the void went quiet again. The Tarshek laughed, until the first of their border worlds went dark. The silence breaks. It began on the world of Kortal, a fortress planet guarding the rim. At 0300 hours local time, every defense satellite, every orbital platform, and every communication array shut down simultaneously. For 6 minutes, the planet floated in dead silence. Then the skies opened. Sensors caught the impossible. Hundreds of human warships emerging from stealth fields, so advanced even Tarshek detection arrays couldn't see them until they were already inside atmosphere. They weren't the bulky exploration vessels the Dominion remembered. These were something else. Black-armored dreadnoughts, plated in adaptive alloys that shimmered like obsidian. The words TCS Vengeance, TCS Retribution, and TCS Silent Dawn glowed faintly. Across their hulls, each ship bore the insignia of the Terran Navy, the Iron Sun, an emblem never seen in war since the days of Earth's own interplanetary conflicts. The bombardment wasn't loud. It was precise, surgical. terrifying. Orbital cannons melted. Command centers vaporized. Shield arrays collapsed in seconds. In under 12 minutes, a world of 40 million fell, not to invasion, but to annihilation. A single phrase was left on the Dominion network, encoded into the ruins of every destroyed comm array for New Carthage. When Earth awoke, across the galaxy, panic spread like wildfire. The humans had mobilized a revenge fleet, but no one knew how large or how long it had been building. Some claimed it was a coalition of colonies united under vengeance. Others whispered it was an Earth-only task force, operating beyond official control. A ghost fleet, long prepared for such a moment. What was certain was this: every world that had celebrated the destruction of New Carthage was now marked. Within days, Dominion ships began vanishing. Battle cruisers, gone. Supply lines, severed. Convoys, erased. The Tarshek command tried to rally its forces, deploying over 2,000 ships to intercept the humans in Sector Theta 9. Only 17 returned. Those survivors spoke of an enemy that fought like no species ever had. Silent, coordinated, relentless. Human ships didn't communicate over open comms. They moved as if guided by one mind, striking with absolute precision. "They didn't just fight," said one broken Tarshek officer. "They hunted us, and when the humans captured a Dominion relay station, they broadcast one message across every open frequency in the sector. You destroyed 5 million of our people. We're coming for 5 billion of yours." The Tarshek Senate ordered every ship to war, but it was too late. Humanity was already there. Retribution falls. It began with a hum, a deep, resonant vibration that rolled across the stars like thunder before lightning. Then, the horizon split open. The Terran Grand Fleet emerged, an armada so vast it blotted out the system's sun. Dreadnoughts kilometers long, carrier formations with wings of autonomous strike craft, planet crackers escorted by stealth destroyers. Their hulls glowed faintly in the starlight, each marked with the iron sun and a single motto: vengeance endures. Vorak-Ka, now High Commander, watched from his flagship as the humans appeared. His voice faltered for the first time. "Deploy all weapons. Crush them before they—" But it was already too late. The Terran fleet moved with terrifying silence. Their weapons were invisible beams that tore through matter itself, cutting through shields and hulls alike. Every explosion that followed was silent in the void, yet the terror of it echoed through every mind that watched. Human dropships descended like meteors, striking planetary surfaces in precise surgical bursts. Ground forces in exosuits, silent, faceless, efficient, advanced through cities with machine-like coordination. The Dominion's proud legions broke. No mercy, no negotiations, no broadcast demands, only execution. When the humans reached Charthuan Prime, the Tarshek homeworld, they did not bomb it. They surrounded it, blockaded it, and then, in a move that chilled the galaxy, they cut off the planet's suns with a Dyson shield array, plunging the world into eternal twilight. Vorak-Ka, captured aboard his shattered flagship, was brought before a Terran officer, Admiral Saren Hayes of the Terran fleet. "You told us to stay in our cradle," Hayes said softly. "You should have stayed out of the nursery." He didn't raise his weapon. He simply walked away, leaving Vorak-Ka to watch his empire burn from orbit. Ashes and silence it took 18 days. 18 days for an empire that had ruled for millennia to collapse. When the final Tarshek transmission was sent, it wasn't a cry for help. It was a plea for forgiveness. Earth did not respond. The galaxy held its breath as the Terran fleet completed its campaign. Then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, it vanished. Every ship returning to the dark between stars. No one knew how many humans had died, how many fleets were still hidden, or whether vengeance was truly over. On the ruins of Charthuan Prime, the last surviving Tarshek scribes carved a warning into the obsidian ground. "We burned one of their worlds. They erased our civilization." In the following decades, the story spread across the stars, whispered, never spoken aloud. Children of distant worlds grew up hearing it as myth, a cautionary tale. Merchants crossing Terran borders would speak softly, "Do not anger Earth," because the lesson was written in the silence that followed. Humanity was patient. Humanity was kind. Humanity believed in peace. But when that peace was broken, when blood was spilled without cause, humanity did not rage. They calculated. They built. They remembered. And when their answer came, it was not war, it was judgment. Epilogue: The Shattered Star Centuries. Later, long after the Tarshek were dust, explorers from another empire found the ruins of Charthun Prime. They walked among the frozen towers and blackened plains, reading the scorched symbols of a long-dead people. At the center of the old capital, they found a single human beacon still humming faintly, its message repeated in a soft human voice. Let the stars remember. One colony. 5 million souls. Never again. The explorers left quickly. None dared to disturb the ground where humanity had once stood in wrath, and far away, somewhere beyond the rim of known space, a massive Terran ship drifted silently among the stars. Engines dormant. Hull dark, crew long gone, yet its systems still awake, waiting. On its command deck, etched into the steel beside the captain's chair, 6 words gleamed faintly under the starlight. They thought one colony small. It shook their empire.